I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We'll be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes a final resolution to an Oregon family that went missing decades ago, plus how Oregon's governor is trying to reverse a trend of schools cutting teaching days to trim budgets, and the growing excitement as the new Portland Fire starts building its roster. Well, after nearly 70 years, a heartbreaking mystery in the Columbia River Gorge finally has answers. The Oregon State Medical Examiner has officially identified the remains of 3 members of the Martin family. Last year, their car and remains were found submerged in the Columbia River near Cascade Locks. This mystery wasn't solved until a private diver took it upon himself to pick up where investigators left off. The 5 family members vanished during what was supposed to be a simple trip to the Columbia River Gorge to gather Christmas greenery. Well, months later, the bodies of 2 of their daughters were found downstream, but the parents and their oldest daughter were never recovered. Well, fast forward to 2018, Archer Mayo, a private recovery diver, started searching the river for the family's car using his own equipment and money. In 2024, he found the car buried under 10 feet of sediment and debris. And last August, he found the remains of who investigators believe to be Kenneth, Barbara, and their daughter, Barbie.
To die is one thing, but to die and then to be in a mystery is like a whole nother level of discomfort. And there's just another tragic aspect about that, the whole mysteriousness. So the fact that nobody can argue with this now. DNA proof, we found Barbie, Bibi, and Kenneth, the daughter who was missing, and the 2 parents. It really does feel good.
The Hood River Sheriff's Office says since there was no crime, they have now closed the case for good. Developing this week, questions are floating around the death of a Portland-based influencer. It happened while on a birthday trip to Tanzania. Police say Ashley Robinson, who went by Ashley Janae on social media, died by suicide after a misunderstanding with her fiancé, Joe McCann. They were staying at a luxury resort in Zanzibar. Police say after the misunderstanding, hotel management separated them into different rooms. She was later found unconscious and confirmed dead hours later in the hospital. Her family is calling her death suspicious.
Uncertainty, mystery, anger, sadness. It's like a part of me has just been taken away.
McCann is a Portland CEO and crypto hedge fund manager. He has not been charged with a crime. We have reached out for comment but have not heard back yet. Also developing this week, a teenager suspected of shooting and killing an Uber driver back in 2024 remains in custody after being arraigned on Tuesday. It's over the murder of Joshua Kelvin, an Uber driver who was shot in June of 2024. Prosecutors say he had help in the ambush of the Uber, and his targets were actually the 2 teenage passengers and not the driver. Celine Stevens sat in on that hearing.
I will be honest, it has been a grueling journey.
Kelly Kelvin is the widow of Joshua Kelvin, an Uber driver who was shot and killed on June 4th, 2024. One of his passengers, a 17-year-old, was also shot over 5 times, but survived. During Tuesday's hearing, it was revealed a second passenger, an 18-year-old, was also in the car, who got away that night unharmed.
I was definitely angry. It's hard to looking at him, knowing that he took my husband's life.
It was also revealed in court that later that same month, the passenger that got away was tracked down and shot at a movie theater with the same gun used to kill Kelvin.
He just has no regards to anybody's safety. That obviously killing Josh was not enough.
The suspect, who was 16 at the time of the deadly shooting, is now 18. In the last year, prosecutors say he was involved in 2 other incidents with guns, including another shooting. Both of those cases are still pending.
It's very overwhelming. It breaks my heart for the people he has shot. I'm thankful that they get to be home with their families.
Now, the teen is facing 10 charges, including for second-degree murder. And according to Darren Campbell, a friend of Kelly, there's work being done to attempt to have him tried as an adult.
If it stays in juvenile court, we're looking at a maximum of 7 years. And to Kelly and to myself, that's just unacceptable. He needs to do serious punishment. The DA has told us that it is very rare to get that successfully. We're just holding on high hopes.
Both the state and the teen's attorney requested the suspect remain in custody. The teen's mother, also present in the courtroom, making a statement after Kelly spoke, apologizing to her.
I appreciate it, but it does not change what her son has done, and it does not bring my husband back.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Well, this week we learned more about a Woodburn mom now released after ICE detained her last summer. Marta Escalante Perez spent 8 months at the Northwest ICE Processing Center in Tacoma. She was detained on her way to work berry picking in Woodburn. Perez is originally from Guatemala and had been in the U.S. for about 10 years. Her attorney says she came to the U.S. seeking asylum after a violent sexual assault, and DHS had already closed her previous removal proceedings, meaning she had no removal case against her when she was detained. This came after dozens of detentions in cities like Salem and Woodburn last year.
Even though detentions have thankfully gone down, the fight really still continues, and we have scores of our community members that are still incarcerated.
On Thursday, we got a response from DHS saying in part, quote, "Under President Trump and Secretary Mullen, if you break the law, you will face the consequences. Criminal illegal aliens are not welcome in the U.S." Oregon's governor issued a new executive order this week to try and make sure kids are getting enough time in school. Here's how. It preserves current student instructional time and protects it from further cuts. Districts who did cut time this year or plan to do so next year must submit plans to the state. That plan needs to show how they will restore that lost time by the 27-28 school year. The order also ends the state's instructional time waivers that allow districts to fall below the minimum hours. Finally, the order eliminates professional development or parent-teacher conferences from counting toward the required instructional hours.
We can simply not get better student outcomes if we continue to give our students less instructional time. Research shows us that reduced instructional time negatively impacts student learning, particularly for students already facing disparities, which widens the gap we all know we have to close.
The order takes effect immediately and lasts for 180 days. On Thursday, Portland Public Schools said this could force the district to cut additional staff, and the Oregon Education Association said this is not a moment to make short notice changes. Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson released her proposed budget on Thursday, and it was followed by immediate pushback from public safety leaders and homeless service workers. Multnomah County faces an $11 million general fund shortfall. To close that gap, the chair's proposals include eliminating 166 full-time county staff positions, cutting 9 community school programs, trimming the sheriff's office administrative costs, and a more than $2 million cut to the district attorney's office.
This number will represent the single largest defunding of the district attorney's office in the history of Multnomah County.
This is the second year where we're having tens of millions of dollars less to work with in a budget than in years past.
I think the chair's budget will make our community less safe. I think the cuts to the district attorney's office are very dangerous and will make our community a more dangerous place.
Multnomah County also faces a $67 million gap in its homeless services department. The chair is now calling for 605 adult shelter units to close and cuts to family shelter vouchers. Portland City Council is moving forward with a new fee to help pay for road maintenance. The Finance and Governance Committee advanced the transportation utility fee on Wednesday. If passed, it would be added to your utility bills. The fee would cost families an average of $8 to $12 a month and businesses roughly 4% of their utility bill. The fee is set to go before the full council next week. Well, anytime word gets out about a new homeless shelter, neighbors have something to say about it, and local officials appear to move forward anyway. That's the case right now in Washington County, as Blair Best reports.
On this busy corner in Beaverton,
homeless and hungry, anything helps, God bless.
Dan hopes for some help.
Trying to get some money.
He's spent 5 years on the streets.
No, I travel around so I don't get robbed.
A few miles away, Washington County is turning this former hotel off Cornell Road into transitional housing for up to 85 people, just like Dan.
Depends on what hoop you have to jump through to get it.
Not many. The housing will be low barrier, meaning no background checks, but people must be sober while staying there, with the goal of moving into long-term housing within 2 years. Here's Jess Larson with Washington County's Homeless Services Department.
So when we pair our housing programs with recovery programs, we can have increased success helping people resolve both issues and getting onto a stable life.
Not everyone supports the project model.
We were surprised because we didn't get any notification from Washington County that this facility was coming in.
We support the foundation of the program. So the issue isn't that we're trying to get the program to stop in its entire capacity. What we want is safeguards.
Among neighbors' top concerns, the lack of background checks and site security.
I was shocked to learn that there were no background checks, so we wouldn't know who was living in the facility.
We're concerned about the safety of the neighborhood, of our property, and of our, the most vulnerable in our community, which is our children.
The site is near 2 schools and across from a large residential neighborhood.
Safety is our #1 priority in this program, just like it is for our neighbors. But we use a full suite of safety measures to ensure that when this program does open and get underway, that the neighbors don't see an increase in safety issues.
Nearly 1,000 residents signed a community petition opposing the county's plans for the site.
And the county just hasn't been willing to engage with us.
Despite neighbors voicing their concerns loudly.
We have been politely trying to raise our concerns with the county for a year or more now, and our concerns have been dismissed.
We are hopeful that we will earn their trust because we have a track record of delivering these programs safely, and in time we hope to build that trust with our new neighbors through that demonstrated track record when the program opens this fall.
Blair Best, KGW News.
And Blair reached out to each Washington County commissioner about these neighbor concerns and has not heard back yet. When the facility opens this fall, housing staff will be on site 24/7 checking the perimeter, and there will be a code of conduct those staying there must follow or they'll have to leave. Well, a Portland City Councilor said her colleagues are not allocating enough money to Black organizations. The accusation from Loretta Smith toward Candace Avalos came Wednesday night as the City Council discussed what to do with more than $15 million in unspent housing money. Here's a snippet.
And I hear what my District 1 councilor is saying. She don't want to support Black organizations. That's cool with me.
Point of order, can we not impugn the character of our colleagues, please?
Well, it's the truth. What is the truth?
That is not true. Councilor Avalos
she voted against them.
That
She voted against them last week. She voted against them, so she didn't want them to go forward.
Back in February, the city administrator disclosed more than $100 million in available housing funds had not been budgeted. Wednesday, several amendments were proposed. Most were rejected. Well, more housing could be coming to Portland's Inner East Side. On Wednesday, City Council approved a plan to encourage denser housing development on the city's Inner East Side. This is a move that's been years in the making, and it's now getting mixed reaction from neighbors. The city's Inner East Side planning project is looking to bring more homes to the mapped area. The goal is to increase housing density around transit areas and businesses by focusing on multifamily units.
If I see Portland City Council say yes to this resolution tomorrow, that's a strong signal that we are going to reverse a decades-long practice of saying no to building.
Portland needs to be building more homes available to Portlanders of all ages, wages, and stages of life.
Then they should build more homes instead of apartments. Make it so that families can have a location to have children, so that they can have even a small yard. That's so important, and that's being lost.
Well, the vote doesn't rezone any part of the city, nor does it approve any new construction. Instead, city staff now have 90 days to create a report. A new zone map would be ready by next summer. A Portland International Airport is making some changes to how passengers leave the terminal. 2 new exits opened on Wednesday, making for a shorter walk after you get off the plane. The new exit lanes are part of the $2.9 billion renovation aimed at making PDX easier to navigate and also very nice. Airport officials say the renovation is about 99% complete. The new exits connect directly from the north and south sides of the airport and will eventually lead travelers down new escalators straight into baggage claim.
This shortens all the walks. If you're leaving Concourse B, Concourse C, it's going to be a straight shot down into bag claim. And so it's really the culmination of the entire really footprint of the building and making it a much more seamless journey.
Well, the port says those exits with escalators leading down to baggage claim will open up in the next month or so. History made for the Portland Fire this week. The team made their first picks in the WNBA draft and even made a draft day trade. And that wasn't the end of it. On Thursday, the team announcing it has signed Jordan Harrison, a guard out of West Virginia, who was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and MVP of the Big 12 tournament. And as you can imagine, the fans were pretty fired up as they watched the team come together on Monday. Our Devin Haskins spoke with fans, some who have waited decades for the Fire's return.
Loud cheers filling the Moda Center as the WNBA commissioner mentions Portland Fire in her opening remarks.
Go Fire!
It's been a long wait for these Portland Fire fans.
I've been really hoping for a Fire team since 2024 when I heard about it.
And when the 7th pick was read, the place was filled with cheers. This moment, 2 years in the making.
I'm pumped. I almost didn't sleep well last night.
She's among the many fans that showed up early to watch the draft live, each fan with their own hopes.
I'm just excited to be with all of the fans together and just celebrate all of the new talent coming into the league and see how that's going to impact the play.
And first in line was longtime WNBA fan Mary Perlmutter.
A good draft pick. I know it's tough at 7 because the ones I'd love for them to get will probably be gone by then.
She even choked up thinking about the moment and what it means.
I've been a fan a long time. And the girls don't get what they deserve. You know, they don't get the recognition, they don't get the press, they don't get enough of it. And they deserve it.
In their first WNBA draft, the Portland Fire will look to complete their roster, looking to fill depth and height.
I think that that still seems to be the general consensus for, what do the Fire need? It's that center position. It's going to be that big, trying to find a franchise big or someone who can at least help with the depth in that role.
Nick Strang is a sports reporter for the Oregonian and covers the Fire.
We're getting into it. We finally have a roster. Training camp starts in 6 days. We're finally going to, just get to the games, and it's going to be really exciting.
And that excitement is what fans brought to the Moda Center on day 1 of the WNBA draft.
Devin Haskins, KGW News.
And training camp begins on Sunday. The first preseason game at Seattle is on April 29th. Now here's Chris with your weather.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis. We have got a great weekend forecast coming our way with sunny and warmer weather after what has been kind of a chilly week. We had, of course, those hail showers earlier in the week and temperatures that struggled to get to 50 degrees. Remember that on Wednesday and Thursday? Interesting to note as I was digging back through the temperatures that despite the chilly midweek that we just had, through Thursday, Portland is actually 2.3 degrees above our average for the month of April. And I bring that up because we're about to turn the corner into some really warm weather again for the weekend as well. So that brings me to my next graphic. We talked about having some 70s in our forecast this weekend. So our average number of 70-degree days in any given year at PDX, the period of record goes back to the early 1940s, I think 1941. 2026 through Friday, we had 5. The most, 2016, we had 13. Last year we had 12. There were a couple of springs where we had no 70-degree days in the month of April. There was the several down there, 2017 being the last. Anyway, the point being, we've already notched 5 70-degree days, and we're about to rip off 2, 3 more in the 7-day forecast. So, yeah. After a chilly start to our Saturday morning, temperatures should rebound very, very nicely. We've got generally full sun coming our way for Saturday with temperatures in the low to mid 70s. I've got Longview at 71. Future Gas Lake's about 73 in Portland, 70s for Hood River, and temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s out across Central Oregon and the Columbia Basin. After a windy couple of days out there, winds are subsiding as well. Fast forward into the day on Sunday, and Futurecast Lakes Portland knocking on the door of 80. I don't think we get to 80, but the point is the modeling has been trending upwards for Sunday. And really the only thing standing in the way of 80 degrees or upper 70s would be how thick the cloud cover is on Sunday. That cloud cover from the storm system that at one point we thought might bring us some rain for the weekend, but that's not going to happen here. So we check out the system from late last week that was inching closer to the coast, but as we check out Futurecast, again, that stays generally offshore. Now, Sunday, it does throw some cloud cover our way, and as I mentioned, depending on how thick that cloud cover is, that'll be the difference between maybe highs around 72, 74 versus 76 to 78. If the clouds are fairly thin and we're able to get the sun through them, it could be a very warm day on Sunday. Folks east of the Cascades will remain dry and quite mild as well. All right, let's roll the clock on Futurecast into the start of next work week. Monday now looks like a mostly dry day as well as the models continue trending, pushing that low farther to the south. It gets cut off from the mean, the general flow across the Pacific, and so it'll sit and kind of spin off the Northern California coast. As such, we're close enough to it that by late Monday, there could be some shower or thunderstorm development down in southern Oregon. And then later Monday night and Tuesday, that stuff will then begin to pivot northward, and that'll set the stage for what will probably be a cool and showery Tuesday. And then looking forward to Wednesday, another system drops on in, and that'll kind of accentuate the rainfall. So Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be a little weather whiplash. We're going to go from a nice, warm, dry weekend to like, oh goodness, what happened? We're back to rainy April showers and temperatures struggling to get out of the 50s. That's entirely possible as we go into next week, next Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe Thursday. Almost kind of a repeat performance of what we just went through. Okay, so the weekend, as we mentioned, a couple of days in the 70s. So we'll tack on, this will be days 6, 7, and 8 in the 70s for the month of April. So we're already above average in terms of the number of 70-degree days we're notching. And then late Monday, early Tuesday is when that shower threat increases, and you'll see a noticeable drop in the temperatures as well with those showers in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
All right, thank you, Chris, and that is a wrap for your weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. Don't forget, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.